Well, hello. So I thought, since I was in Seattle this week, that this would be a great spot for a quick midweek chat. So hope you kind of enjoy the view here. It's at a place called, I should have asked you to guess where it was, because you can see the Space Needle there, right? And the Space Needle, I don't know, the sun is kind of in our face, so it's too bad. It'd be nice if the sun were the other side of the, like we should complain about anything like that. But visibility is probably not as good as it can be, but it's orange on top. And I think that's how it was originally when it was built in 1962 for the World's Fair that was here. And in fact, I'm staying with a guy, Steve, whose father and brought his whole family out here. Steve was born in Eau Claire, and his father came out to work at the World's Fair, and then they stayed ever since, so it's kind of neat. But I think it's an orange top because it's World Fair 62, so 40, 50, 60 years, 60-year anniversary. They do stuff like that on the Space Needle. So, and I don't know if you can see it, but you see that little, it'd be right, let's see, here we go, right there. Yeah, you can see it, I think, right? You know what that is? It's got a little, it looks like clouds. I think it's actually fire smoke. I flew over it yesterday and there was kind of a fire down there. So I don't think it's a cloud, but Mount Rainier, right? 14,410 feet above sea level. So I hope to go to that park this week for at least a day hike. It's just so beautiful. So weather's good here. I got some Parish news. I got some other stuff to share with you today, and then I'll get down the hill here and see some more stuff. But Parish news. I quick emailed Kelly, Boudry, and Christine to see if there's anything they wanted pushed. I think what's really heating up for us is Summerfest, but I'll just mention Kelly's stuff. So we had our kayak trip. Looked like it was going to be a bigger group going. It ended up being a small group, but it was a lot of fun, and there were T-storms all over the place. So maybe it was good that youth weren't there. Kelly said, boy, if we had youth with us, I don't think I'd go out of the water now, but we didn't get wet. It kind of like it rained before and before after when we were in our cars and we were driving away. About 15 minutes on the road, the heavens opened and just torrents, a big storm came through. So we were lucky, lucky people. It's good. Good to be lucky, good to be good. So that was good. So the next thing for fun and that Kelly's organized is a tubing trip, same place, better weather, I'm sure, on the 27th of July. So that's a Wednesday. So let her know if you want to come. That one we need to actually know in advance, I think, how many people might be coming. So that's geared a little more toward our youth. So though youth could have come on the kayak as well. Hope it's not too windy up here. So let's see. The 20th, Kelly's other thing is the Vacation Bible School. She and Beth are putting those pop-up VBSs together, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Wednesday, I believe that July 20th, but get in touch if you want to go to that. And they're geared for children 4 years old and older. And then we can use some of the older kids, like in high school or later middle school, for volunteers. We had some really great volunteers last time, so it's nice to see them come back for that. So regarding Summerfest, so it's going to be the weekend of April or August 13th, 14th. And volunteers, we're going to start really hitting hard for volunteers to do different things, like sell concessions or to work the cakewalk or children's games, or you'll see a whole list of things that you can do. And so that'll be we have an online sign up real soon, sounds like this week sometime. And then a hard copy will be available in church. We'll get them out in a couple weeks. So hopefully everybody chip in a little bit of work so a few people don't have to do so much, and then have a good time together. It'd be great. So the raffle. So I got some comments on the raffle. Seems like people understand. The problem with the raffle is that we can't send you tickets in the mail anymore. We were kind of warned on that and said if you do it again, there would be a major fine because it's not legal, I guess. And so it's like, how do we try to, for that fundraiser, how do we try to make it work for us? And I give the team a lot of credit. They're trying to do different things. There's a 50-50 raffle. There's a raffle where they just sell 300 tickets and they're $100 a piece, but we only sell 300. So chances are, a lot better than when we sell everybody. But it's not as nice. I think we all wish we could just send everybody tickets and they'd buy them. So we tried this. We're not selling a lot of them at 100 a piece. for obvious reasons, right? But the first prize is $5,000, you know. So, but again, we don't want. It's not like we want to encourage gambling, but I don't know. We're just trying to do something so we can, because that's not a special fundraiser. That's just regular for operations that we have the Summerfest. So, but I did have a comment that someone said they thought maybe that just priced people out, and they thought, I like the principle. I really liked what he said. He said, you know, I think that everything we do at St. James should be open to everybody. And, you know, it's a lovely thought, right? And he thought, well, $100 a ticket, that's not really open to everybody. And he said, well, maybe some people could pool with each other, you know, $20 a piece, they buy one together, for sure, you know. So I think some people are doing that already as it is, you know. I just give the group credit for it. But I like the comment. I like the spirit of that comment. You know, we'll try this, see how it goes. Because we don't want to be. This is the thing. I feel like it's a little bit. We just have kind of fundraiser after fundraiser. We're doing okay, you know. We had that capital campaign that was mandated by the diocese that we did and was very successful for us. So again, thanks to everybody who volunteered to help with that or who pledged for that. But what I'm worried about, I don't want to get into this where we're always talking about money kind of thing, because I know that's a turnoff, and you know we kind of can't help it because we had to do the capital campaign, and now we have Summerfest, which is our parish fundraiser. So. But I think we all know that, you know, the core of what we do at St. James, or, you know, any parish, is our prayer, is our developing our hearts and minds to love our neighbors, and to find that inner strength from God so we can gain confidence that we're all beloved children of God and can go out into the world and express that in all of our unique ways as individuals. I mean, I don't want to lose that spiritual core. I know we're talking a lot about money lately. And money is related, is part of our lives, and so it's, you know, it can be a spiritual thing too. Father Schultz always said that, my predecessor, and it's true. But anyway, so I apologize. I just don't want to give the impression to anybody that, you know, St. James, I always talk about money, because I know that that's a turnoff. It'd be a turnoff to me too. So we're just kind of doing what we have to do as needed, and trying to pray real well together on the weekends when we get together and encourage each other's. And our struggles and all those things as we walk together as parish. Okay, enough said about that, I guess, huh? Let's see. Hey, couple things. I think that's probably all I got for parish. Book club's coming up in August. Just summer, you know, I hope people are enjoying summer. There's some beautiful things here in Seattle. Purple flowers everywhere. I got my purple, I don't know if you can see it. I got my Washington Crew t-shirt on today. They practice. So what is this? This is actually Puget Sound, and then there's all these beautiful bodies of water here. And the Washington Crew team practices on Lake Washington, which is way over there. Then in between the two is Lake Union. So anyway, what a beautiful city. So I lived here in the 80s. That's why I have a little connection. I have friends here that I stay with, so it's great. And they're very generous, good people to me. I'm on one of their e-bikes today, tooling around town. Hey, I hope people enjoyed hearing Martin Luther King's voice in church on Sunday. I thought it'd be something different to do. Like I said before I played it, I could either tell you what Martin Luther King said about the parable of the Good Samaritan, or you could actually listen to him. So all the technical stuff worked, the Bluetooth and our sound system and everything. So I hope people got to hear it. And what a powerful voice. I think sometimes people lose track of the fact, they associate him only with civil rights and forget that he was a pastor and a preacher, you know. And you know, I mean, the gospel obviously has social implications, and that's what led him into his activism, right? So as we try to live as children under our one God, right? Brothers and sisters. Okay, so the plane ride was interesting. So I'm flying here, and whenever I can, I try to get a seat on the left side of the plane when I come to Seattle, and on the right side of the plane when I leave Seattle, window seats. And you know why? So I can see that when I fly out. And so I was in the 30th row, like second to last row, but I got a window seat on the left side. And there's one, they kept saying, you know, does anyone volunteer to leave the plane because we have some people that need to get on, and I have my hosts are waiting for me, and I didn't feel like I was that flexible with my time, and so I kind of hung tight. And the guy on the aisle said, "I wonder why we have a seat right here that's empty, you know." And we thought like they didn't notice, or I don't know. Anyway, but at one point someone did give up their seat, and then this family came on, and the mom sat between us, and she asked the guy to my right first if he could switch out with her daughter and he could get a different seat. He said, "Well, I got a close connection, and I don't know if my bag is back here." It was all these things, but he eventually, agreed. And I thought I didn't really want to move, because I kind of took great pains to get that window seat and everything. But sure enough, she came and said, "I got one more daughter, and she's really struggling. And would you mind switching seats with her?" And I was thinking, well, I guess I gotta do this. And I wish I was more like eager, it's a little embarrassing. But then she said, it is a window seat also. It's up there, and so it was less painful. But I would have switched anyway. That's one of those situations where you're either a hero or a good guy or a bad guy. There's like no in between. If you don't move for the children, then you're like, what a jerk. And if you do it, you're like, wow, what a great guy. So in fact, but I thought of you guys. I thought of everybody that I could tell this story to, and not that I'm such a great guy, but for me it's easier to do the right thing or to do good things when I'm accountable to somebody. It's like I would hate to get on the chat and tell you that someone asked me to move for their children and I refused because I wanted a better view of the mountain when I flew over. So I think that's part of the power of community and good friendships, good marriages, where you share everything with each other. Hopefully we always strive to have this real tight relationship with God, that we do the right thing just because God and us. And I hope that's true for you. And certainly that's part of it's our conscience, what operates. But I'm just saying it's a lot easier, I think, when we can also be proud of ourselves in front of others, not in an arrogant or braggy way, but in a way that we know that we all struggle against being selfish. And if we can kind of share our struggles with being selfish and our successes and pat each other on the back and seek mercy when we fail, I think that's good. So anyway, thank you for being there. Thanks for being part of my life so I can tell a happy story about doing something nice for a child. So real good. So we'll see what happens on the way back. My right window seat. Okay. Oh, and then on the way out. So on the way out, I had the same dilemma that guy worried about. I was up 10 rows, but my carry-on was way in the back row. So everybody's kind of just, well, I'll wait. I'm not in that much of a hurry, so I wait till people are getting off. And then I pop up, and then this guy in the back row, who was originally sitting one row behind me, just behind me, he kind of catches my eye, and he says, "Which one's yours?" And I said, "Well, it's in the single compartment there, and it's got an Air Canada tag on it." And this one, he goes, "Yeah," and he passes, and he walks up and he gives it to me. I said, "Well, that's awfully nice of you." And he said, "Well, that was a good thing that you did. That was a good thing that you did." So, little community support. So it's just great to, tell people good job. Like I said, we should be able to do that just on our own, our relationship with God. But it's nice to have the support and pats on the back from others for sure. This is a real popular park. If I turn I'm kind of beyond the guardrail. A lot of people are at the guardrail there. I'm on a little electrical exchange box or something. So if you hear some chatter, a lot of people come to this viewpoint. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about God's will and how we know what God wants us to do. And I thought of that topic because I'm in Seattle. And I lived in Seattle a very critical time in my life, after college and before seminary. And I was deciding, what the heck should I do with my life? And I'd applied to law schools, got in. I thought I was just too early to really commit myself to something like that. And thought about seminary, didn't know. I was pretty tortured about, really what to do with my life. And so I don't envy our young people, but I think they seem to be the ones I meet, they're real confident and they just go with the flow. And so, God bless them. But I think it's so important to ask, what does God want? So anyway, a lot of my time when I was in the city, I would be just, what do you want me to do, God? What should I do? How do I know? How do I know what you want me to do? And I had a lot of good support and advisors, and a lot of people knew about the St. Ignatius Loyola, who founded the Jesuit order of priests. And he had what he called the rules for discernment of spirits. And his idea there was that there's the good spirit and the evil spirit, and they're both kind of luring us in some direction. And what's the good spirit trying to draw us toward? So that's what would be God's will. So I don't know. So I did some summaries of that, and I thought maybe I'd just kind of summarize what I remember. I didn't go back to a book or notes. It's just kind of from what I remember. But the first thing that he says, which is just crucial, and maybe it's the hardest part of the whole thing, is that you should be indifferent. If you're choosing between two things, so for my sake, so if I want to be a priest or not a priest, I should be indifferent. Like if I find out that God wants me to not be a priest, and I know that's what God wants, great, I'll do that. If I find out that God does want me to be a priest, great, I'll do that. So he says we should be like a balance, like a balance, like where you put a rock on one and it goes like that. So it should be like a balance, just waiting for a little weight of God's will to kind of bend us, and we'll go with it. Because sometimes maybe we ask the question because we're good people, we want to be good people, we want to do what God wants, and maybe we really want to, take a job in St. Paul. That's really what we want because it's really higher pay and all this stuff. Maybe there's other stuff like family concerns and things that would keep us in Eau Claire or something. And so we really want to go to St. Paul, but we want to do what God wants. And so we ask, but we really want. So God might be trying to push the scales this way to keep you in Eau Claire, but you're like, I don't know. I'm gonna stay. I want to go to St. Paul. So to get to that point of indifference is not so easy. But that's the ground of the whole thing. If you're not there, then all these other exercises won't work. It won't work because you got your hand heavy on that one side. So one of the things he said is just say a prayer, ask for guidance, and just list out the pros and cons of everything. Well, if I do this, I'll have a lot of, I think I'll maybe use more of my talents for this and that. If I do this other thing, I'll be able to maybe have a family, or I can do this, or I'm trying to think of what, everybody's not deciding whether to be a priest or not. I'm trying to think what other examples, like taking a job in some other place, or if you're younger, where to go to a school, what to do after high school, trade school or college, or get a job right away, or, those kind of things. Or if you're dating, should I marry this guy, this gal, or no? Or maybe there's two love interests in your life, and who do I want to really be with more? Should I go with Sally Mae or Jenny Sue, and kind of what's the advantages there? Or I remember or categories, and you just kind of lay them out against each other, and like maybe it's easier to think like when you're dating somebody. You could make a category like this person be a great mother or a great father. Which one? That person or that person. I could see myself being on vacation with this person and having a good time. Physical attraction. Let's have one or the other. Personality. Which one would I really get excited about introducing to my family, or who would get along better with my family? All these different things, and you just kind of weigh them against each other. Sometimes that can be immediately clarifying. It's like, oh, Jenny Sue wins in all these categories, and you could say, well, why is that God? That just sounds like you're doing a mind work. Well, it's partly your intention. You're asking God to guide you, to help you think through all this stuff, and just to kind of clarify. So that's one thing, just weighing pros and cons. Seems like an everyday example, but it's very effective, I think. What else I got? Oh, by the way, if you ever want to get into this a little bit, there's a website called ignatianspirituality.com. It's got a lot of great stuff on this topic and a lot of other topics, but it's really, really good stuff. IGNATIAN. It's ignatianspirituality.com, all one word. Then he has these imagination exercises, which I think he's more famous for. So one is, sometimes we're just so closed in on ourselves, we sort of lose a little objectivity. So he says, imagine you got a really good friend who goes to you for advice, and that good friend of yours is in the position that you're in right now, struggling with the same question. But you're not you. You're a friend advising you. You can kind of imagine that. He says, "What would you say to your friend?" And that's basically what you're saying to yourself. It's kind of your wise, more objective, detached self advising you, and take that to heart. That's kind of a neat. That can work for some people. I think my favorite one. Actually the one that probably helped me the most when I was deciding was imagine yourself when you're like, I gotta watch say how old I am or how old my mother turns 92 next week. But imagine when you're 92 years old and you're looking back on your life at yourself as a 22-year-old, as a 35-year-old, as a 50-year-old, as a 60-year-old. You're looking back on your life knowing that your days on earth are not that many more. And what do you wish you had done? What do you wish you had done when you were a young woman, a young man? And sometimes that's clarifying. Oh, clearly, I'd be really proud of the fact that I was a priest. I was really proud of the fact that I took a chance and went to Chicago for this job or something, or I went to, that I decided to devote my life to this person in marriage. I like that exercise a lot. It takes a lot of prayer, a lot of kind of meditating, getting into a space where you can actually kind of imagine yourself old and maybe on your deathbed, and looking back at your life with love. What do you wish you would have done? That can be very clarifying. Let's see. Well, there's some other ones there. I feel like there's a few other ones along those lines. Those are good ones, though. And another one is just to kind of make a decision. This one I've not had success with this because I know it's just like a game. But you kind of make a decision. It's like, well, I'm gonna go to the seminary. I'm gonna preach, or I'm gonna really pursue a relationship with openness to marriage with Jimmy John or Billy Joe or Mary Sue, and live with that. Just kind of say, well, this is the decision I made, and live with that for a couple weeks, knowing that that's the decision you made. Does that feel good? Like peaceful? Right? Do you bring confidence to your life? Like, yeah, I think after living with this decision for a couple weeks, this seems right. Or does it bring turmoil and stress? And that's a sign. Maybe not. So I got a story. So I really thought that I'm really gonna finish this before 30 minutes. I really thought that after I was in seminary studying for the Diocese of La Crosse for 2 years, that I was because I lived here, I so missed Seattle, and I thought, I think I didn't miss the city so much, but the friends, the experiences I had. But I was convinced I'd be much happier in Seattle. So I was going to switch. I met with the Archbishop of Seattle when he was visiting the seminary. He said, "Hey, I'm sure we'd be happy to talk to you, but I can't do anything. We can't have this conversation until you talk to your bishop in La Crosse and cut your ties, and then we'll talk." And so I thought, well, that's awesome. I'm going to be back in the city. Wow, Space Needle, Puget Sound, Dungeness, crab, salmon, all the good people. Anyway, so I really, not intentionally, but I kind of felt like I made a decision. So then I lived with that for 2 weeks, and I like to sleep in the morning, right, as long as I can. And I usually would get up at say 8, and I was starting to wake up at 5:30 every morning, and I was just a little stressed. I think about this and that. And I still be excited about the idea of Seattle, and I thought, why am I waking up early? Why is my life sort of disrupted? And I lost a little appetite, or I was eating too much. I was off. And in the end, what I decided was my body was telling me what my mind, because it was that balance thing. I think my head just really wanted to go to Seattle, and so I wasn't really maybe indifferent. I wasn't like open to what was really the best move here. But I think my body was saying, hey, Seattle's a long way from mom and dad. It's a long way from where you grew up. There's something important about serving the people that served you, like the church that raised you in the diocese, returning and serving that diocese. Not that it has to be that way with everybody, But I think just the enormity of that choice, I think I was just kind of thrilled, big city I love, all this stuff. And some of them, maybe the more, I don't know, substantial but subtler issues I wasn't taking into consideration, but my body knew they were important. And so I had to reconsider, and I never called the bishop to say, I'd like to cut ties and reestablish ties with Seattle. So all these decisions, but that was, that's true. It's a true story. And then my favorite one. So you go through all these things, pros and cons. Imagine yourself on your deathbed, living with the decision for a while. Then he says, sometimes you still don't know. And then in all his wisdom, he says, you flip a coin. He said, just flip a coin. That's scary, isn't it? That's that total abandonment. That'll test you if you're really indifferent or not. Heads, I'm a priest. Tail, I'm going to back to grad school, or I'm going to take it. Can you imagine just letting a coin determine it? But he said this. He said, follow the coin. I'll test you if your whole goal is just to serve God. And then either one should be okay. And he's not saying it like some kind of magic thing, like God will speak through the coin. I don't think that's the point at all. It's just like, how indifferent are you? How willing are you to do whatever God wants? And you've tried, you've thought about it, and you haven't come to a decision, so flip a coin and do it. And if you take that path and it leads to disquiet of soul, if it leads to kind of misery, depression, sadness after you've done it for a while, do something else. It's not like you're trapped in that. So I like that a lot. That flip a coin thing. It really tests our indifference. I think in the end, the whole summary of all this, St. Ignatius, it's like if you really are on board with that first thing, that you want to serve God above all things, that's your intention, and you try to kind of figure out, what it is that you want. That's good, because even if you fail, even if you walk down a path and you have to change course, your intention has been to serve God. Thomas Merton has a beautiful prayer. It's like, God, I want to do your will. I'm paraphrasing it. I want to do your will so badly, and I think I'm doing your will, but the fact that I think I'm doing your will doesn't mean I'm actually doing your will, because maybe it's not your will, but I think I am. So, but I think that the fact that I want to do your will, even if I'm wrong, is in fact pleasing to you. So help me continue to have that desire in the center of my heart. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a nice prayer? I think that's good. So, God gives us life, and we're supposed to return the favor to the world, accept the life, and do some interesting things with our lives. Asking God, is this good with you? Yeah. So it's hard to know. And probably the biggest challenge is to get ourselves out of the way. I don't know, the only other thing that just sort of subtle, he always says the thing to look for when you're filling out a new decision is kind of a sense of peace, sense of confidence. But we also know that any change will bring some stress, and so there's kind of a stress that's like I was talking about when I was thinking of Seattle, I was waking up early. That's maybe an indicator that I shouldn't do that. But there's also just the stress. So I'm a little afraid here because it's something new. I've never been in this city before, which is okay. And that's just that simple, regular fear that we just need to ask for God's courage. And under that kind of fear, is there a sense of peace? Like, God will help me with this. I'm on the right track. I'm doing the right thing. Likewise, kind of a sense of joy versus just a thrill. Sometimes we might think of something like if you're really in love with somebody, you're infatuated, and you really want to be with them, and thinking about that can just be kind of thrilling, but maybe it's not that kind of joy. Maybe it's a real superficial kind of thrill, and that thrill isn't an indication that it's God's will. It's a deeper sense of joy and peace, I think. So, anyway, as we go through life together, seeking God's will, let's support one another. Let's love one another, and let's, especially when we have friends who maybe are taking chances and trying some new things. Don't just help people talk themselves out of doing something that probably is of God's will, but let's support them. All right, God bless you. Give you a couple seconds here to look at that. Let us build a city of God. May our tears be turned into dancing. For the Lord, the light of our life, has turned the dark into day. God bless you.